Hello and welcome to Week 8. This is Dr. Pike sitting in for Dr. Dirk Davis again this week for LDR 350. We're going to begin this week with the faith integration component. And we'll start, many people define leadership as influence. I don't think this simple definition of leadership is wrong, but I do believe that it is incomplete. I have a more comprehensive definition of what I call legacy leadership. Legacy leadership is a process of intentional influence that takes place in the context of a relationship. I want to explore that definition by examining the leadership of the Apostle Paul. We'll do this by taking a close look at his letter to the Thessalonians. We will also look at several pages from other letters. What comes to mind when you see the word intentional? In the context of leadership, the word intentional indicates the purpose or overriding mission that guides a leader's behaviors. Paul was very explicit about his purpose. He was exhorting, encouraging, and imploring each one of them as a father would to his own children, so that they could walk in a manner worthy of God, who calls you into his own kingdom and glory. And that's from 1 Thessalonians 2:11 and 12. So that is one of Paul's favorite phrases. He uses it in his verse to emphasize the intent of his leadership. His goal is to develop Christ-like followers who will walk worthy of God's calling. He expressed this same purpose in his letter to the Colossians. He prays for them to grow in their understanding of God's will, so that you will walk in a manner worthy of the Lord, to please Him in all respects, bearing fruit in every good work, and increasing the knowledge of God. Colossians 1:9 through 12. Paul's purpose is reflected in his prayer, but it is also demonstrated in his behavior. He is admonishing and teaching every man with all wisdom, so that we may present every man complete in Christ. For this purpose I also labor, striving according to his power, which the Almighty works within me. Colossians 1:28 through 29. There's no hidden agenda here. Paul is transparent about his purpose. It is clear that Paul was very intentional about the influence that he was exerting. He had an overriding purpose, so that vision for his leadership that provided the context for every instruction, correction, or assignment that he gave to his followers. And I think that's a great example for this being our last week in this course, is to have an intentional leadership style. Now I'd like to take a look, if we can, at this week's agenda items. There's quite a bit to do. Now, you have your reading, which is chapters 14 and 15, the discussion board, which nothing's changed on this between the initial posts and the follow-up posts. You're going to watch, listen, and learn on the videos. There is a reflective essay this week, and it's a 700-word essay on the following. And this is nothing new. You students have been participating in this all the way through, so you should have a good understanding of what the reflective essay assignment's about. There is a discussion board number 9, and this is after you complete the course. And I want to encourage you to participate in the final student survey. We requested that you participate in the mid-course survey, and that was good practice for this final one. You'll note that we did make changes after receiving the feedback from the mid-course survey. It was important that we understood if you had any limiting factors or our expectations were too high. And it not only helps you, the student, it helps us and the students that follow you, because we reorganize the class. We change things that may not fit in the practicum for the non-traditional student's busy schedule. This survey is worth 10 points extra credit. And I just want to encourage you again to not leave those points on the table and utilize them for what you need to do. The critical assignment is also due this week. Personal Leadership Philosophy paper, and we're going to take a look at that. Now we'll scroll down past the assignments that we talked about. So we're going to view all of the videos that are associated with this week's learning. Moving down the discussion board, we spoke about that. And the rubric, you want to focus on the left side of the rubric for the exemplary sections. That way you ensure yourself full points on the assignment. Reflective essay and rubric. And the Personal Leadership Philosophy paper. And this is the critical assignment, and it's due day 3 of week 8. After reviewing the material in the text and synthesizing an analyses, you want to write a 5 to 7 page paper in APA style defining and explaining your personal leadership philosophy. And again, I want you as students to focus on the left side of the rubric, and you'll see that the leadership definition is worth 40% of the overall grade. This is a large component of the paper, and it should demand your focus. Now, the criteria states there's a fully developed narrative that describes the writer's leadership philosophy. Examples of leadership are clearly delineated and incorporate information learned from the textbook. The definition and description should indicate a thorough understanding of the central tenets of leadership in a clear and concise manner. If we go down, we'll see ethical considerations, and that is 20% of the overall score. You as the student must clearly define ethical considerations and thoroughly discuss the application to the personal leadership philosophy. Strengths and criticisms, another component that's worth 20%. You as the student clearly and thoroughly identify and describe the strengths and criticisms of the models and theories that are the basis for the personal philosophy. Faith integration component worth 10% of the grade, and you want to integrate what we've talked about thus far in the course. So as we've had the faith integration components through the weeks, if you've been able to apply that to any of the learning that you have, please discuss it in the paper. You as the student must clearly discuss the relevant application of faith integration, message, or other spiritual application as it pertains to your personal leadership philosophy. APA, spelling and grammar are important, and I also want to caution you about the use of block quotes, 40 or more words from someone else's work. You want to make sure, because we are looking at the similarity to other papers in this class, with you turning it in twice, we look at the percentage of information that has been utilized in other papers. So you want to be careful and keep your quotes limited to relevant information associated with the topic. Now you see what's required for you to get an A. And that's what I hope every one of you do get. Now, the submission requirements for your critical assignment are down below. And it'll tell you that you need to submit it in 2 places, and that's Blackboard and TaskStream. And follow the directions below on clicking on the appropriate items and making it happen. Here's where I talked about the safe assign, where we're checking your paper against other papers to see that the work hasn't been duplicated or the overuse of someone else's work isn't present in your 5 to 7 page paper. You do not want to leave behind the 10 points valuable stuff. You want to take your 5 to 10 minutes, complete the survey, be honest, and we do take these surveys seriously. We're looking at any way that we can improve the course all the way through and make it better. Just quality improvement all the way through. Anyway, that is the faith integration and agenda for this week. I wish you luck. I'm going to let you know that the lectures this week on chapters 14 and 15 will be abbreviated because you have a lot of work to do this week. Congratulations on making it to week 8, and I wish I'm praying that everyone does well through the rest of this course. Thank you, and see you at the lectures.